Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're headed to Appalachia,
Appalachia, yeah.
but we're not talking about the usual narratives.
Right.
We're digging into something, well, truly inspiring.
Yeah, a really innovative project, Project Everberry.
Project Everberry. And get this, we're talking about high-tech food centers popping up in Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and what's really exciting about Project Everberry is the partners, right?
Yeah.
It's this really unique collaboration.
Okay, so usually when we think about food and farming projects, we think, well, farmers markets and maybe some community gardens. This is on a whole other level.
This is a whole other level. We're talking about a historic resort. We're talking about a natural gas company, a nonprofit.
Wait, hold on. A natural gas company.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got resorts, natural gas, and what else?
And a nonprofit, right, focused on food access.
Yeah.
And then a tech startup. So it's really this very unlikely alliance, but it's what makes Project Everberry so interesting.
That's wild. Okay, so we've got to break this down. First of all, who are these partners?
All right, so let's start with Grow Ohio Valley.
Rural Ohio Valley. Okay.
So they've been doing work in the upper Ohio Valley around food access, community gardens, mobile markets.
So really on the ground, working with communities, that direct connection.
Exactly. They have a year-round public market in Wheeling, West Virginia. They work on food deserts. And that's why they're such a crucial partner in this project. They understand the need.
They understand the need, they understand the community, and I imagine they have those connections to the local farmers and producers who would be, essential to a project like this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Grow Ohio Valley check. We've got the food, we've got the community. Now, you mentioned a resort,
Yeah, Oglebay.
Oglebay. I mean, I think like golf courses, beautiful scenery.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a gorgeous place. But they've got a really fascinating history. Their founder, Earl W. Oglebay, was really passionate about agriculture. And so it's really baked into their identity.
Okay, so it's not just some random resort hopping on the sustainability bandwagon. It's actually part of their story.
It's part of their story, and they're using that to their advantage. They're leaning into this concept of agritourism, right? So they're showcasing sustainable farming practices.
I love that. So it's like a vacation and an education all rolled into one. Okay, now for the curveball, the natural gas company. Did not see that one coming.
Right. So we're talking about CNX Resources. Now, they're a major natural gas company, but they've actually been making a lot of investments in green technology.
Interesting. So kind of trying to walk that line, I guess, between traditional energy and looking towards the future.
Exactly. And I think they see this as an opportunity to really put their money where their mouth is in terms of sustainability. They're not just a financial backer in this project.
Okay, so then what's their role?
They're providing land for these food centers, they're supplying some of the renewable energy systems, and they're really looking at that waste-to-energy technology.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they're really putting some muscle behind this.
That's exactly.
All right, and last but not least, you mentioned a tech startup.
Right. And this is where it gets really cool. EnergiAcres.
EnergiAcres. How do you even spell that?
EnergiCres, like Energy Acres. And they're the brains behind these high-tech food centers.
So if Grow Ohio Valley is the heart, Oglebay is the beautiful landscape, and CNX is let's say, the backbone. EnergiAcres is the brain.
Yes, the brains of the operation. We're talking about vertical farming here, but like on steroids. Think AI, renewable energy integration, the works.
Okay, now we're talking. So we're going from farm to table to like farm to future. Tell me more about this tech.
Well, imagine this. Imagine a network of these vertical farms, but they're not just these metal structures, right? They're powered by solar panels, they're using geothermal energy, they're even capturing waste heat.
Okay, so we're talking about some seriously advanced systems here. This isn't your grandma's greenhouse.
Definitely not your grandma's greenhouse. But, they are kind of like greenhouses on steroids because they're able to create these controlled environments.
So they can grow food year-round, no matter what the weather's doing outside.
Exactly. And because they're vertical, they take up a fraction of the space of a traditional farm.
And using a fraction of the water, right? We always hear about how much water traditional farming uses.
It's a huge issue. But these vertical farms, they're designed to conserve water.
Okay, so we've got these incredible futuristic food centers, but let's zoom out for a second.
Okay, yeah.
This is a multi-state project, right?
Right. We're talking about Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania.
So what does this look like on the ground in each state? Give me the state-by-state breakdown.
All right, let's start with West Virginia.
Let's do it.
So they're focusing on wheeling, which makes sense.
Right, where Grow a V is based.
Exactly. They've already got that infrastructure in place, those community connections. So they're building a state-of-the-art vertical farm right on Oglebay's property.
Wait, so you're telling me you could be playing a round of golf at Oglebay and then wander over and pick some fresh strawberries?
That's the idea.
That's incredible. Okay, so West Virginia, check. What about Ohio?
Okay, so Ohio is going big. They're planning this massive 2-acre indoor farm near St. Clairsville.
2 acres, indoors.
Yep. And along with that, they're creating a local food hub so they can distribute that produce throughout the region.
Wow, talk about making an impact. All right, last but not least, what's happening in Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania is focusing on ultra-efficient greenhouses, and they're building these on land owned by CNX near Waynesburg.
Okay, so that connection with CNX is really key here.
Absolutely. They're actually using the waste heat generated by CNX's natural gas compressors to help power these greenhouses.
Okay, now that is cool. Talk about turning a potential problem into a solution. That's what I call a win-win.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of a circular economy in action. But it's not just about the tech and the infrastructure. Education and community engagement are a huge part of this project, too.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't forget about the universities involved, right?
Right.
We've got Ohio State, West Virginia University, Penn State. They're bringing a lot of brain power to the table.
Oh, yeah. They're doing some really amazing research, like developing new sensors for monitoring food quality, optimizing growing conditions for different types of crops.
I'm picturing a sensor that tells you exactly how much vitamin C is in a strawberry.
Right. But they're also developing training programs and internships so that people in these communities can gain the skills to work in these high-tech food centers.
That's so important. It's about empowering those communities to be a part of this change, not just bystanders.
Exactly.
It's really inspiring to see this level of commitment to creating a more sustainable and equitable food system.
It really is. And you know what's remarkable is that it's not just talk.
Right.
They're actually making it happen.
Right.
Project Everberry is already having a real impact on the ground.
Okay. So beyond the cool factor of vertical farms and waste-to-energy systems, what kind of tangible differences are we seeing?
Well, for starters, they're creating jobs.
Jobs, yeah.
And not just any jobs. These are skilled positions in agriculture or renewable energy technology fields that are only going to grow in the future.
Right. These are the kind of jobs that can revitalize a community.
Exactly.
Because it's not just about a paycheck. It's about having a job that gives you a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
A sense of hope.
And let's not forget about the impact on public health.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, access to fresh, affordable produce, that's huge.
It's a game changer, especially for communities that have historically faced barriers to accessing healthy food.
And, it's not just about access. It's also about the quality of that food.
Exactly. When you're eating produce that was grown locally, it's fresher, it tastes better, and it's more nutritious.
It's like a win-win-win for the economy, the community, and for people's health.
Precisely.
It's easy to get bogged down by all the negativity in the world, but then you hear a story like this.
Right.
And it reminds you that there are people out there who are fighting for a better future.
Absolutely. And they're not just fighting, they're actually creating it step by step, innovation by innovation.
It's like they're showing us what's possible when we dare to think differently to challenge the status quo.
Exactly. And speaking of challenges, no project this ambitious is without its hurdles.
Right. Every project has its speed bumps.
Yeah.
So what are some of the obstacles that Project Everberry is facing?
Well, funding is always a challenge, right?
Of course.
They secured that initial grant from the ARC, but scaling up an operation like this across 3 states, that takes a significant investment. And it's not just about building these food centers, it's about making sure they're sustainable for the long term.
That's always the challenge with any innovative project.
Yeah.
How do you make it last? How do you make it work beyond that initial burst of enthusiasm?
It's a great question, and it's one that Project Everberry is grappling with head-on. They're exploring different funding models, partnerships, ways to make these food centers financially self-sufficient.
It's really exciting to see this kind of innovation, not just in the technology itself, but also in the way they're approaching the business side of things.
Right, because for a project like this to truly succeed, it needs to be viable both environmentally and economically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Project Everberry is so inspiring, because they're not just focused on one or the other. They're looking at the whole picture. They're thinking holistically.
And that's what makes me hopeful, that this isn't just a one-off project. This could be a model for other communities, for other regions that are struggling with similar challenges.
That's like a blueprint for a more sustainable future.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into Project Everberry.
It's been my pleasure.
It's truly inspiring to see what's possible when people come together with a shared vision for a better future. And to our listeners out there, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into the world around you. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.